everybody, my name is Gabby from All Creatures Animal Hospital, and welcome to our puppy class. Today we're going to have Anna, our wonderful receptionist, go through some manners and a little bit of training. So this is a class I'm really excited about, something that's super important for these guys. So Anna is going to take over today and go over some information for you guys, things to practice at home. I'd love for you guys to comment, let us know how you like this video and the things that we're teaching you today. We really think it's important for you guys to go through this, so I will let Anna take over and she'll be with you guys now.
Thank you, Gabby.
You're welcome.
All right, everybody, thank you for joining us for puppy class this week. So like Gabby said, we're going to be going over some fundamentals about manners and behavior to help your puppy get started and understand how things work in the house and how you expect them to perform and how to help them understand that with just a few simple things that you can do throughout the day as part of your daily routine. So the first thing I'm going to go over is why manners are important. So when you get a young puppy and they first come into the home, everything is new. It's a brand new world. They just got here. They want to explore everything and they want to explore it now. And your job is not only to keep them safe and happy, but it's also to help them emotionally and help them develop properly, to understand some restraint and to understand basically how they should get the things that they want in a way that isn't obstructive to anything around them. We see a lot of separation anxiety, we see a lot of demanding behaviors, a lot of barking, a lot of escapism from dogs at home, especially young puppies, a lot of chewing up things they're not supposed to. With bigger dogs and bigger puppies, owners will trip over them because they try to walk in front of them when they're walking out of the door. They will, pull them when they're trying to take them for walks outside, and in some cases you do see some aggression when it comes to toys or food or other things that the dog wants because it was never taught to properly ask for these things. So I'm going to talk about how to help your dog understand what you're asking for in a way that works for you both, and is absolutely very simple. So for us, it's very common for us to want to wake up and give the puppy everything. You have a new baby in the house and you want to make sure that the baby's taken care of. You don't want to feel neglectful. You don't want to feel mean. So in most circumstances, the puppy has a bowl of food down at all times. The puppy sleeps in bed with you. The puppy, either goes outside unattended in the yard, or your baby is allowed to run wild on the leash and is wearing either a regular collar or wearing a harness, which are all fine, but not when you're trying to be consistent with trying to let your puppy know what your expectations are and trying to properly communicate. So I'm going to go over how your routine should look, ideally, and a couple of things that would really help you get set up for success and assist you in your journey. So I have a few things here with me. My first recommendation is this treat bag, or any treat bag of your choice. It basically has a little strap that you can hook up to your waist and carry treats and food with you. This specific one has a little thing for doggy bags, and it has a little opening for you to be able to carry treats with you. This is very important to help your dog understand that you are the owner of the treats. You are in control of the food. Everything that the dog wants comes from you. And so you want to let your puppy understand that this is not a free-for-all. So first thing we want to have is a treat bag or some kind of treat with us when we're learning. The treats I really love are these Zooks mini treats. They're kind of pricey, but they're cheaper on Amazon. And these guys right here are awesome because not only are they small and chewy and very, very soft, but you can also break them up. And so with a young puppy, their attention spans are very, very short. And so you can break this treat up into smaller pieces, and you can give your dog a smaller reward to keep their attention for much longer. So these are excellent for that. The next thing I have here is a clicker. Clickers are very important for marking behavior. You can also use a word to mark the behavior that you want instead of the click, but I'll briefly go over how to use that, and we'll go deeper into this as we post more videos, but today I'll just touch on it very briefly. And then the training tool I'm going to be talking about as far as walking today, and basically teaching your dog leash pressure and teaching your dog a little bit of self-awareness when you're walking with your dog, is a gentle leader. So this is when you go out and purchase it, I got mine off Amazon. I get everything off Amazon because it's cheaper there. But this is what the packaging looks like. It comes with a training DVD and how to properly fit it and how to properly use it. So you're not on your own when you use this. But a big mistake that I see a lot of people make is instead of using this like a training tool, it is used like a Band-Aid. Basically, the dog already has a walking issue or has never been shown how to walk properly on the leash, and then you put the gentle leader on and expect the dog to not freak out and to not, to know exactly what you're asking of your puppy when they're already expecting that walks are going to be a free-for-all. I go out, I get to smell whatever I want, and I've never been asked to walk by my owner's side. So this is a good training tool when used properly, and we're going to touch a little bit on how to introduce it to your puppy and how to make sure that you understand the purposes and when it's used and how it's used. So basically, I'm going to go through your day and how you want to set your day up to set you and the baby up for success. So first thing, my recommendation is to have your puppy sleep in a kennel, in a crate. So you have your crate, you set your crate up exactly how Gabby has mentioned it in the previous videos. So divide her in the crate, make sure that it's only big enough for our puppy from the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail, and for your puppy to be able to turn around. So there's plenty of space to rest comfortably, but we can just turn around and be comfortable, but there's not too much space where the puppy's inclined to potty in the kennel. And if you have any more questions about how to set up the kennel, refer to the other videos. And then nothing on the bottom of the crate. So no blankets, no towels, absolutely nothing here. We have a couple toys in here. My recommendation is to not even have toys in the beginning because your puppy will be inclined to chew these toys up. And from a health standpoint and from a behavioral standpoint, you definitely want your puppy to understand that these are your toys. So this is my puppy, this is my toy, and I want my puppy to ask me to use this toy, and my puppy is borrowing the toy. This is not my dog's toy. My dog does not get to have this toy whenever my dog wants to. And I'll explain why. This is not being mean. This is not being stingy. This is to set your dog up for success and to help your dog understand how to speak with you and how to communicate with you. So first thing we do in the morning, when our puppy's in the crate, our puppy's very excited, wagging tail, ready to come out, probably barking. The door is closed, and you're going to walk into wherever you have your puppy in the kennel, and you open the door. As soon as your puppy tries to jump out, we're going to close the door right back, and we're going to wait until our puppy is calm, our puppy is sitting or laying down, our puppy is quiet. We're going to open the door. If the puppy tries to come out again, we're going to close the door again. And you're going to have to do this several times in the beginning, but this is really teaching your puppy exactly, a little bit of self-restraint and a little bit of patience, and basically setting that foundation on understanding that I don't get to just run out of the crate and do what I want immediately and go run laps around the house. My mom's going to tell me when I can come out, and this is going to help me be a little bit more polite. So as soon as your puppy, and take your time with this, this is not going to be something that you're going to close the door once and your puppy's going to sit down and be calm. Eventually that is what's going to end up happening, and that's what you want to happen in the long run. When your dog's an adult, if you do this foundation, your dog will know to do that. But in the beginning, just wait for your puppy to calm down and then release your puppy. Let your puppy come out with you, and you can go for your walk. Obviously, you're still potty training, so a lot of this stuff is more time consuming, and if you really need to just take your puppy out to potty and let your puppy release before you do all of the other things I'm about to mention, then do that first. Let your puppy, have the release outside. Let your puppy use the bathroom so that there's no accidents indoors while you're doing all this stuff. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to ask our puppy to sit down, and we are going to put either the puppy's leash or collar on. So always ask your puppy to sit and wait for every single thing that you do. And so you might be thinking, okay, my puppy's gone potty, why am I not going to feed my dog? So I don't recommend feeding your dog until you've had either a long walk or some other kind of activity to help your puppy do some kind of work. This is good for mental stimulation, and it's good to help your puppy be better behaved. It's good to help your puppy be less stressed, because your dog, no matter the size, is here to work for you, and they're designed to work for you, and they want to work for you, and they want to work for their food. So I'm using the gentle leader, and so basically the way that you fit this onto your dog when we go for a walk, I have my puppy sitting, and it looks like this, like that, And so you might think that the snout goes through here and you're somehow supposed to clip this around your puppy's head, but the snout actually goes through here and this goes around the dog's head. And so this right here is what it's supposed to look like. This part is on your dog's snout. This is around your dog's head, so that when your dog is wearing it, you have full control of your dog's face. And so this is not only good to deter pulling, because you have a lot more control, like a horse wearing reins, but it also allows your dog to remember to look up at you. And eye contact is one of the main ways that you communicate with your dog. So always, as much as you can, wait for your puppy to give you eye contact when you're communicating, because that's how they tell what kind of mood you're in, what kind of emotions you're experiencing at the moment, and exactly how they should react, because they don't have a way to talk to you, and you don't want them to resort to having to bark at you or having to pee to get your attention or any of those negative behaviors. So we're going to have our gentle leader on, and we're going to walk to the door, and as we're going out for our walk, I'm going to ask my puppy to sit down, and then when my puppy sits, I'm going to ask my puppy to wait. So basically, when your puppy starts to walk, you put them back into a seated position, and this can take several repetitions. And then you're going to open the door, walk out first, and let your puppy walk out behind you. And so what you're doing now, especially for the bigger puppies, and even for the smaller ones, because when they run out ahead of you, they risk injury. But for the bigger dogs, they risk injuring you if they run out in front of you. So always ask your dog to sit before you exit or enter a door. You're going to go for your walk. If during the walk you experience any bad behavior on the leash, with the gentle leader, you can just gently pull and allow your dog to understand that you want them to come back to your side, or that you need their attention back. If they see a dog and they start trying to run at a dog, this is going to allow them to understand that they can only go so far and they should pull back. During this walk, you're going to want to have your bag with you. One of the more valuable things you can do, instead of having treats, so instead of feeding a whole breakfast and instead of then trying to give your puppy treats, just take your puppy's breakfast with you. So I actually have a bag of kibble in here in addition to a bag of treats. So you walk your dog hungry, because they are very, very alert at that time, and they're very, very willing to work for you. And that is the best time to have them primed for learning. And so as you're walking, anytime your puppy gives you the attention you ask for, anytime that you call your puppy's name, anytime that your puppy gives the response that you want, give them a little piece of kibble, give them a little treat, and tell them good. Tell them that they're a good boy, good girl. You can also say yes, you can say okay, or you can click. And so that's where the clicker comes in training. So right before you give the reward, doing the click marks the behavior. And so you want to mark the behavior in order for the puppy to start to associate that sound with a positive reward. And so that lets your baby know. It basically marks it more prominently in your puppy's brain to expect food when they hear the click, and so that makes them learn a little bit faster. And so that's kind of, and you're doing the same effect when you say good or yes to your puppy, and then you give a reward, but the clicker is an easy way to keep on hand, and you can just click. And so you have a relatively successful walk with your puppy. You're going to come back to your house, and once you get to the door, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to ask your puppy to sit. You can ask your puppy to sit, and then you get a treat. And I'm going to show you kind of how it should look when you reward your dog. Ask your puppy to sit, your puppy sits, and then you click and you give the treat. And I'm going to do some demonstrations of this next week, so you're actually going to be able to see in real time how a dog operates like this and how they learn to expect the food. And I'll actually do some examples of everything that I'm explaining. I just kind of want to preface how this kind of goes on a day-to-day basis and how much you can do in your routine to let your puppy be set up for success. And so you came in from your walk, you had your puppy sit at the door. You're going to walk in the door first and let your puppy walk in behind you. And that also lets them know, once again, this is your house, you own the house, they live with you, not the other way around. The next thing we're going to talk about is their first meal of the day. So when you get back home, my recommendation, especially if you have other dogs in the house, is to feed. You really want the crate to be their safe haven, and you want it to be a place where they don't feel any threats, where they don't feel like anyone's going to get in their way of their place of sleeping and their place of eating. So I always feed my dogs in the crate because it helps them understand when hands are going into the crate, they get a positive association of a hand reaching into the crate and giving them food. And they also associate the hand coming in and reaching the bowl out so that they don't become aggressive towards any hands in the crate to avoid the crate aggression. And then they also, if you have multiple dogs, I recommend feeding them all in kennels. I have 3 dogs at home and they all eat in their kennels separately. Because food aggression and resource guarding it stems from anxiety around food or around other resources. So this is another way that they could have good manners, but just experience good behaviors and exhibit good behaviors around each other if you have multiple dogs or if you have children in the house, is if the dog understands that everything that it has is given to it by a human, then it's not going to feel like it needs to defend its property because your dog doesn't think that that is his or her property. And so if all of your dogs eat in the crate, we see a lot of people that will feed their dogs all together in the kitchen, on the floor. A lot of times that works and there is no food aggression and the dogs don't fight with each other for any food or treats. But feeding them separately is the best way to avoid that potentially if you have multiple dogs. And so I'm going to put my puppy into the crate. I'm going to give my puppy a bowl of food. And before I let my puppy eat the food, one of the tips I recommend is set the bowl down. If your puppy goes for it, take the bowl back out and ask your puppy to sit. Once your puppy sits, put the bowl back in and don't allow your baby to eat the food until they understand that you're asking them to wait. And so your puppy's going to sit down and eventually get frustrated and stop trying to eat the food without your permission. And so once your baby is sitting patiently and waiting, you can use a release word. You can say okay, you can say go ahead. I use the word break. And that will let your baby know, okay, I can eat now. And so you're, once again, asking them to wait, asking them to ask for permission, and basically letting them know that you don't get to just, scarf down your bowl of food. I'm going to ask you to wait, and I'm going to ask you to ask for permission. Okay. And then the same thing like we talked about when you have your puppy exit the crate in the morning. Once we're done eating, we're going to remove the bowl, make sure that we let the puppy know that our hand is coming in here and we're going to take the bowl out and there's nothing to fear, no reason to bite, no reason to be defensive. And then open the crate door, have your puppy wait again. If your puppy tries to run out immediately, just shut the door. Not hard, you're not slamming it, but just shut the door. Once your puppy calms down and waits, open the door and say, okay, go ahead, break, whatever, free. There's many different words that you can use. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is a big thing that we see behavior-wise, and one of the things that you can do with your puppy to discourage this is begging, and the importance of a place for your dog to go whenever other things are happening or when you need your puppy out of the way. So I use the command place. You can use bed. I've heard some people use go home. You can just point. Any way that you can communicate or mark it to your dog. But basically, place is a bed. It can really become anything with enough practice. But that's my biggest recommendation on how to get your puppy to not beg while you're at the table having dinner, or to discourage your puppy running around, and if you don't want to keep your puppy in the crate. So basically, the way, just very briefly, and I'll go into this further, but the way that you teach the place command is you'll have your bed, and then you have your food or your reward, and this is a good thing to do. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're going to go ahead and just take your puppy out really quickly to go potty, and pottying is not going to be part of the walk for you, then you can use breakfast as a time to teach these things and practice everything that I've discussed. You can even go to the point where you are just asking your dog to sit in front of the door, and you feed your puppy the entire breakfast that way by just asking your dog to sit on the leash at the door. That is all part of practice. That is all things that you should be doing multiple times throughout the day, and feed your dog the full breakfast. And so when you're trying to teach the place command, the way I did it with my 2 dogs is you basically grab a treat, you throw the treat into the bed, and as soon as your baby hits the bed and goes there, then you're basically baiting them to go into the bed. You give your baby a treat, and then eventually, mark the behavior, and then eventually you're able to tell them that that's place, and whenever you send them there, they can go to place, and they understand what that means. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about aside from that is setting boundaries in the kitchen. And so the biggest thing that, you know, we always hear about and that we always encounter is that the dog does not know how to stay out of the kitchen or out of a certain room. So one of the things that you can do, and the way that you really discourage your dog from entering a room, is to reclaim your space. And so it can be an imaginary line, it can be a physical line, it can be a doorway. But when your dog walks past a certain point, you just walk towards your dog and reclaim the space. You can say, you can say, back up, but it's got to be a very assertive tone, and you want to make sure that the dog understands that as soon as they reach a certain point, they can come back. I let my dog sit by my kitchen, but they don't enter the kitchen because they understand that that is an off-limits place unless they're invited in. So the way to really reinforce this is to make sure that you do it every time your puppy tries to enter the kitchen. So anytime there's a person in the kitchen, your dog does not enter the kitchen, and you do that same thing. Walk towards your dog and reclaim the space and make sure your puppy understands that that is an off-limits area. So that is really everything that we have to go over today. This is all just, like I said, little tips and tricks of things that we can do. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything that you want us to touch base on or need any clarification on, we're doing puppy classes every Saturday from 1 until we're done if we have a lot of questions. So please feel free to email us or to comment on our Facebook or to text us and let us know, you know, how things are going at home. Post some videos, let us know if you're trying anything that we recommended, let us know how it's going, let us know if you have any concerns about anything that's going on. All right, thank you.